Hi everyone, it's Natalie from Circuit Recruitment and welcome to another episode of Landing a Job 101, coming at you once again from the Circuit Recruitment office. I filmed 2 episodes on one day to make up for my absence, so I hope you enjoy. I asked, then you asked, and now I'm listening. And what I mean by that is actually just this post where a little while ago I asked you guys for some inspiration for Landing a Job 101 episodes. I'd kind of lost steam with some of my topics and just wanted to see what my actual audience was looking to get out of these episodes. And a friend of mine, Harry, commented and suggested that a really good topic might be how to understand if a company culture is right for you. Self-awareness techniques to help you understand bird behaviors and whether these align bird companies. I thought this was actually a really great topic and a very underrated one at that. And I think a lot of us can relate to that feeling of receiving an offer. The money's great, the tech stack aligns exactly to what you're looking for, and it seems like a perfect offer on the surface, but there's just something holding you back from taking it and you can't really quite put your finger on it. It's just that something's stopping you from going ahead for some reason. So let's talk about it. Now, the first thing to make sure when you're embarking on some sort of job search journey is to cover off your self-awareness. Before you embark on the job hunt itself, it is really, really important to do some sort of self-reflection exercise. You want to try and make a list of what you want to see in your ideal job. This could include the cultural elements of your ideal role. Think about what kind of domain you want to work in, what kind of company you want to work for, what does the flexibility and work from home policy look like. You want to make sure that you're really clear on this. You guys have no idea how many people I speak to on a daily basis. I always ask the question in my screening, what are you looking for in your next role? And it drives me nuts because most people have absolutely no idea. A lot of the time I get answers to that question that are like along the lines of, just a role that's a full stack engineer, or just really want to be working with Java, or I don't know, I'm pretty open-minded about what I do next. And look, there's nothing wrong with that, but it does actually leave me as your career matchmaker completely directionless when it comes to trying to get you the role that you're really after. And it makes it really hard for me to try and match you with roles that you're actually really excited and passionate about, rather than something that's just a generic match to the tech stack that you work on. So really try and think it through. What are your non-negotiables? What kind of work environment do you want to be a part of? Take the time to reflect. Trust me, it pays off in the long run. It's so important, not just so that you can make sure you're looking for the right roles in the first place, but it comes especially in handy if you have the pleasure of dealing with 2 offers at once. Now, when it comes to self-reflection, this can look like many different things. Feel free to journal it out. Maybe you might want to sit down and have a coffee with your mum. Maybe you want to go in the backyard with your dog and ask him what he thinks about it. You can paint it in a picture if you want. I do not care, but please, for the love of God, do it. Figure your ish out. It is really important that you know what you're looking for in the next role. And I'm talking beyond just what tech stack you're after. All right, now you're ready for phase 2, which is all about listening to your gut when you're trying to figure out what is right for you. Now, do yourself a favor and try and make this process as easy on yourself as possible. And you want to know how to do that? Information gathering. Knowledge is power, girl. The more you know about the role, the company, the domain, their culture, the better, because that all contributes to your gut feeling. So the key to information gathering is to ask questions. Do not, I repeat, do not come to an interview without questions ready for the interviewer after they're done questioning you. I have an entire video on this on my YouTube channel, so get your cute little butt over there and make sure you start listening to the rest of my advice. At the end of the day, you can research the company's culture all you like, but be wary of a couple of things. Be careful when it comes to looking at things like Glassdoor, right? Just remember that only the most disgruntled of employees bother to get on things like Glassdoor and leave a review. I can almost guarantee you that for every 1 bad review left on Glassdoor, there's probably 5 employees that had a pretty average time or even a positive time and just didn't bother to post online about it. But then you also have to be wary of things like career pages, because obviously companies are only going to present their best selves online. A company's career page is a little bit like a Hinge profile. They are trying to attract hot talent. Now, I might be losing you at this point with Hinge profile analogies, but stay with me because I'm sure you're thinking, if I can't trust the reviews that are online, but I also can't trust things like career pages and Instagram profiles, then what can I trust? And the answer is you. yourself, your gut feeling, that intuition. That's who you trust. But you can only trust yourself to make the right decision if you have all the information you need before making said decision. If that means that you need one last chat with the team, then so be it. I've actually never seen a client decline a request for a candidate to have just one last chat with them before making their decision. And if they were ever to do that, I would actually have a lot of trouble selling that client to future candidates, because that's a massive red flag in my books. Episode 20 of Landing a Job 101 covers some of the questions that you can ask at the end of an interview in order to try and get all of the information that you're looking for, so you can make sure you're making the right decision for yourself. So you can go ahead and watch that if you're interested. But in the case of assessing things like team culture, it's best to try and reverse engineer these questions based on what it is that you're looking to know. So for example, if you want to know about how flexible a team is in their work culture, you might want to ask them about their working from home policies. If you want to try and suss out maybe if there's a bit of drama going on behind the scenes, you might want to ask whether this is a new role that they've created, or maybe it's a backfill. And if it is a backfill, you have every right to ask them why that person moved on in the first place. Every single question you ask and answer that they give you is going to be equipping you with the information you're going to need to try and assess the whole situation at the end of the day and decide whether or not this is the right role for you. But keep in mind, all the information that you're gathering from this, it's not just in the form of the actual word answers that they give you. It also gives you a chance to try and read between the lines. For example, if you ask about why this role is being backfilled and the hiring manager starts to get a little bit cagey while she tells you that, oh, that person just was looking to move on and find a new challenge, then there might actually be a little bit more going on than meets the eye. If you're getting really vague, unthought out answers, or there's a little bit of misalignment between what's written on the JD and what you're hearing in real life, then there might be some alarm bells going off in the back of your mind. And all of this contributes to that gut feeling that I mentioned at the start of the video. And those feelings that are starting to arise within you will help you make your decision. In the end, once you have an offer in hand, you're going to have to sit down and decide whether or not you actually want to take it. And if you've done everything that I've mentioned so far, then you should be in a pretty good place to give them an answer. But if you find yourself with a couple of question marks, then definitely just ask whether you can have one last chat with the hiring manager. If you're lucky enough to be having two offers at the same time and they're both looking really great to you, then firstly, congrats. You're in a really fantastic position. And secondly, if your gut is not steering you in one particular direction, then chances are you probably would be happy in either role. Feel free to ask the talent team whether you can have one last chat with both of the hiring managers to try and see if anything will help sway your decision. Oh, and one last thing, and I make this plea on behalf of recruitment people everywhere. If your gut is telling you that a role is not right for you after even just the first interview or second interview or third, please just let us know. Sometimes I feel like people get scared to let me know that the role just doesn't seem like it's for them. And on the odd occasion, I have taken a candidate through to a final round thinking that they're super happy, super excited, only for them to let me know at the very last hurdle that the role is not at all what they're looking for. And I'm always super disappointed when that happens. Please, for the love of God, do not drag a process out any further than it has to go. You are just making everybody's life so difficult. I would much rather know from the very first interview if you have a feeling deep in your soul that this is not the right thing for you, because otherwise I spend a lot of time and energy and effort putting you through a whole process, and so does my client, only to figure out that it was never going to work out when we could have just spent that time finding other candidates that are really invested in this process. So please just let us know from the get-go so that we don't waste yours and our clients' time putting you through a process that you're actually not that excited about. Now, on the flip side of that, if you do choose to be honest and a recruiter tries to push you into continuing into the process, just run. Run away from that recruiter and never engage with them again. That's a massive red flag. There is a big difference between talking it out with you and asking questions to get to the bottom of what your motivators are and somebody being super pushy and trying to guilt trip you into continuing into the process when you really don't want to do that. So anyway, those are my general thoughts on how to make sure that you're assessing a company's culture properly and how to make sure you're also assessing yourself properly to get all your ducks in a row and ensure that you are actually making the right decision for yourself at the end of the day. If you don't do all of this at the start of the process, you'll find yourself doing it at the end of the process when you have an offer in hand, in which case you're probably going to find yourself a little bit confused, stumbling around in the dark, asking more time to deliberate, in which case you might actually be putting the client off as well because they're thinking, hey, they've had this offer for a couple of days. What's taking them so long? They might not be interested. And you do actually run the risk of the client rescinding the offer, which I have seen happen every now and then myself as well. So don't leave the self-awareness stuff until the end of the process. Make sure you figure out what you're looking for so that when an offer lands in your lap, you know exactly what to do with it. Whether it's taking or rejecting, it doesn't matter. Power that will give you is conviction and knowing you've made the right decision. So all in all, Thank you for watching. Good luck with your job search, and I'll speak to you next time. Bye. Woo! I just tripped on literally nothing. Do I pick up the phone or just leave it?